The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Oh yeah, parting is such sweet sorrow. We have reached the end of the road for Black Emmanuelle on Flesh Wound After Dark. I am Flesh Wound Dan, joined by Producer Todd. Producer Todd, how are you doing today?
I was better. Then I showed up, and there we go.
Well, I am doing very well. This is the grand finale of the Black Emmanuelle box set and the Sensual World of Black Emmanuelle box set. And we're going to get right into it tonight with the 1986 film from director Joe D'Amato, Scandalous Emmanuelle. So in this film, wealthy but neglected wife Christina is seduced by a close friend named Andrea of her husband and introduced to new scandalous erotic experiences. So Scandalous Emmanuelle, 1986, Joe D'Amato. We're really late at the very end of the cycle here for the Black Emmanuelle films. And a little bit about the cast. We have Jenny Tamburi as Christina, the wife, who sadly passed away in 2006, young, unfortunately. She was in The Suspicious Death of a Minor, a great film from Sergio Martino. She was in the comedic horror film Frankenstein Italian Style from Armando Crispino. Blood and Bullets with Jack Palance, Women in Cell Block 7, Lucio Fulci's The Psychic, and The Sinful Nuns of St. Valentine, a great resume. We also get as her husband, Diego Marino Masi. He was in Luigi Cozzi's Contamination, Tenebrae for Argento. He was in Godfather Part 3. Phantom of Death, Dedado's Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man, a great movie. The Boss from Fernando De Leo, Red Queen Kills 7 Times, Nightmare Castle, Emmanuelle Around the World. Amazing filmography on this guy. And last but not least, we get Lily Karate, who plays Francesca. She also died young, sadly, in 2014. She was in The Alcove for Joe D'Amato. Did a lot of adult film work, was in Escape from Women's Prison, and managed to make a brief comeback in Violent Shit, the movie, right before she passed. All right, so we'll get right into the movie, and we'll do a couple of the extras at the end. Some people may have seen this under some alternate titles, Pleasure of Watching and Peep Show. There's probably a couple others for this that are escaping me at the moment, but this one's kind of very, very different. It's very heavy on the melodrama. In fact, in the beginning, this is really light stuff for the Emmanuelle universe. There's even a clothed sex scene at the beginning. Don't worry, we get over that. But essentially, this one is just Christina discovering that she's a freak. So she gets lured into this sort of fantasy scenario that she's unaware that she's in. There's the romantic tension between Andrea, her husband Diego, and Laura Gemser's character, who does have a small role in this. So this is absolutely not in any way a Black Emmanuelle movie.
See, I was kind of surprised you went with this first, because this is like Inferno Rossi is a disc released on its own, and this is really more of a special feature to that, the documentary, than it is to the Black Emmanuelle box set.
It's a full movie, though.
No, it is. But I mean, the way it's all presented, this is the way it is. I mean, it is kind of, which is why it doesn't really have as tight of a connection to Black Emmanuelle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the doc,
I'm not complaining that it's on the set.
No. But this would have been the one to put the alcove on if you just want something associated with Franco. D'Amato. I mean,
yeah, D'Amato. Yeah, I think if I had to flip them, I would. But you know, I'm glad this is here. It's very well shot, very well made. The actors are fantastic. It's nice seeing Gemser in a different light because, like I said, she's just playing a very, you know, different kind of role here. Still very sexual. This one really kind of feels a little bit more classy and art house. There's still, you know, some manipulation going on into the sexual scenarios here. So it's, you know, I won't go as far as to call it classy. It's not classy, but for the most part, it is more of a steamy, almost at times feeling more like a Red Shoe Diaries kind of vibe about it, with some slightly more explicit nudity. Obviously, there are some Sharon Stone Basic Instinct shots that are a little bit more graphic, people getting diddled under tables, and some leg crossing scenes that are a little bit more X-rated, but never going into hardcore territory really with this one.
A little more on brand with Franco.
Exactly. There's some crotch zooms.
There's some definite Franco shots.
This movie is extremely sexy. I will say, as far as the actresses go, Jenny Tamburi is gorgeous, fucking insanely so. Lily Karate, same story. This is a really good erotic drama that is just not a Black Emmanuelle movie. And that's fine. I'm judging it for what it is because it's actually going to get really high marks. What did you think of this one, Todd?
Yeah, I kind of already threw it out there. Yeah, I'm fine with it. Like you said, if we're grading it as a Black Emmanuelle, it's totally not. But what it is on its own, I had a good time with it. It's just a little out of place in the set. And my rating reflect it too.
Young Dan discovering this on Cinemax was not going to be disappointed at all.
I won't ask young Dan's rating. I'll just ask current Dan's rating.
Current Dan, you're only getting current Dan. We don't have a time machine. But you're not going to be disappointed with the ladies in here. Like I said, Jenny Tamburi is a jaw dropper. And Lily Karate, again, same story. We know what to expect from Laura Gemser at this point. The acting in this is actually a lot better than a lot of previous movies. So it has that going for it. As far as the extra features go, we get Scandalous Christina, an interview with Jenny Tamburi that runs 9 minutes. She kind of talks about Madame Royale, some of her breakouts, being a dancer, breaking into film, being in Violent City with Charles Bronson, and some of her big breaks, working with Fernando De Leo. They pack a lot into 9 minutes. This was obviously an older interview. We get Peeping Lily, an interview with Lily Karate that runs 12 minutes. She talks about not really realizing the fame that she achieved until later in her life, as a lot of people from that era, discovering DVDs and new fans being made. This is just an audio interview, and she talks about kind of struggling with some of the party lifestyle at the time, working with D'Amato, the alcove, etc. And that's the end of the special features. But just back to the movie real quick. I really enjoyed it. It's a different kind of sexploitation film, but like I said, at times it almost felt like You say Franco, I'd say more like a Tinto Brass film at times.
No, I said there were some Franco shots. I did say
yeah.
Film.
Franco loved those zooms, those beaver zooms. They
looked like some sneaky shots, and that was more Franco's.
Yeah. But this one, like I said, it's got that typical voyeur kind of story, her not knowing exactly what's going on between Diego and Andrea. And the sex scenes are about as good as you could hope for in these movies. Very steamy. They all work. So what do I rate this one?
I asked you 3 minutes ago.
I am a 3.5.
I'm a 3 on this one. I think it's solid. I think it's worth
okay.
a watch. If you're going to watch a Black Emmanuelle, and skip this one. It's not a Black Emmanuelle film.
Yeah, some people may not like that kind of melodrama tone, though. Like, there's
there's that throughout the Black Emmanuelle series too.
There is,
especially the stuff that isn't from Joe.
yeah. Just don't expect this one to go full like Emmanuelle in Bangkok or Emmanuelle in the white slave trade. There's nothing like that.
Or America.
So next up are I'm going to run through the extras super fast because they're kind of just extensions of the documentary. Yeah. But we have Inferno Rosso, Joe D'Amato on the Road to Excess, a 2021 documentary from directors Manilio Gomarasca and Massimiliano Zanin. As far as extra features, we get Two of a Kind talking about Joe, which is an interview with the director, Manlio, and Giona A. Nazaro of the Locarno Film Festival. It runs 29 minutes, and it's kind of just the director talking about how he discovered Joe D'Amato as a child, being traumatized by the fetus seen in Anthropophagus, as many of us were. And then the rest of it really blends into the whole point of the doc. So, but a good 29-minute piece. There's also some outtakes and a 1-minute Nicholas Winding Refn Venice Film Festival introduction for the documentary, which really cool of him to do that. So the basic theme of the Inferno Rosso doc, I mean, I will say it runs an hour and 17 minutes. I'll say up front, I really would have liked this to have gone like maybe 20, 30 minutes longer and sort of been, like a heavy hitter kind of deep dive doc. This is more about the man in general and his career in general. It doesn't deep dive into any specific movie. But I will say, very touching. One of the big themes of this one is just how Joe D'Amato never really got his due. We've talked about this on previous episodes with our guest Max Ammo about Joe D'Amato in general, and just how people have just never really truly appreciated him because of the adult film work that he did. And this sort of runs down his career and how he was a very promising cinematographer, how he got into directing, really spends a lot of times as well on the things that he produced, which a lot of people forget about that. But his Filmy Rage company, which started with Anthropophagus, which was a huge hit outside of Italy, he talks a little bit about shooting around some of the unions in America and how that worked. Because, again, you had Ghost House, Troll 2, Metamorphosis, Witchery with Linda Blair and David Hasselhoff, which was a big hit for them. But then the diminishing returns of that company with the industry at that point in steady decline, everything moving to TV, him not being able to go to TV because of the adult stuff. He had a lot of TV projects that he could never get off the ground. They spend a lot of time on the financial issues that he had, mortgaging his house to basically just keep following his dream. It's touching because his daughter is interviewed, and she doesn't go right into what she found, but after he passed back in 99, she talks about finding some things, I'm assuming writings, kind of indicating that it kind of hit him that he never really got his due. I thought the saddest thing in this was the headline that the king of smut has died, just totally overlooking all of the wonderful work that he did. And for that matter, you know what? Some really good work that he did in adult film. Some of those Rocco Siffredi period piece adult films that he did are fantastic.
I remember working in the video store and being so excited when I saw his name on the porn. I was like labeling. I was like, "What? Well, this is coming up with me tonight." And it was a
lot of good adult films. Yeah, a lot of really good adult films that he did. It really kind of hits you in the feels towards the end, which I wasn't expecting, because obviously they have to use a lot of footage of some people talking about him that have long since passed. Again, he passed in 1999. They do restore a lot of footage that looks really good from different interviews to tell their story.
I was trying to look at that footage really close. I think it was AI enhanced to 4K, but because that footage of him especially looks the best it's ever looked. Because that footage is been used in a lot of stuff, and it always looks pretty rough. So I don't know if they found something, but I mean, you see AI restorations on YouTube all the time. So either way, it looks great.
Oh, it does. And this guy just had such a awesome career. He didn't quite beat Jess Franco in terms of the amount of movies made, but he did hit that 200 mark. Now, again, a lot of that is adult films, but even somebody like Jess Franco, who gets shit on a lot, it feels people at least give him his due for some of the early stuff he did. D'Amato, it's just like, I don't know, something about him in particular, he's never gotten his due, and I find it very sad. I know way back, it was in our horror theater radio, Creepshow radio days, Louis Paul, a friend of mine, had interviewed him, I believe, like really probably at the very end of his life. If you can track that down, it's really cool to check out that. But yeah, I hope this goes away and having people see him in a different light, because I don't think it's fair, kind of some of the things that have been said about him. I would have liked a new interview with Rocco Siffredi, although they do go over that, and there's some offset footage of Siffredi being directed by him. But yeah, we do get Eli Roth here, who even gives a bedroom tour. He's got an Emmanuelle and the Last Cannibals poster in his bedroom. Probably why he ended up getting divorced. But I feel his pain. It goes over some of the legal trouble that he had, some of the shock elements that he put in there in a lot of his films, the infamous snuff footage, the insane amount of legal bullshit that he had to deal with for a film, a film with fake footage in it. But it does a good job giving him his due. He was a jack of all trades as a cinematographer, producer, director, and yeah, and a lot of impact. The Auteur films in the wake of Conan blowing up. This guy, he's a choose your own adventure. Really, you got the hardcore horror cannibal stuff. You've got the erotic Black Emmanuelle film, some of the fun B movies that he was a part of towards the end of his career as well.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the fact he had so many aliases, probably more than anyone else, hurt his following, like for Americans? Like I'm sure there's people.
So did Jess Franco, though.
But he didn't have as many. And people like it It was what was it? What was his fake one? And his didn't last long. Like,
well, Joe D'Amato's the fake one.
No. I'm saying with
yeah.
Louis Fuller, wasn't that his American name? Lucio.
Yeah, he had a bunch.
Yeah, no, he didn't have as many though.
Oh no, Fulci. Sorry, I thought you were talking.
Yeah, no, I'm saying he had some, but it was yeah. So I think that's the difference. Like there was a few for him, but D'Amato, like almost every movie, damn near it seemed like for a while had different names. And I'm just like curious if you think, if like we had like a one name, we would have kind of. I think if it was D'Amato the whole time, I think it would have stuck. I think his cult would have more.
Yeah,
average people who would have saw one of his movies might have remembered his name more than some name that probably never going to see again.
Yeah, I don't know. I can remember a lot of early writing and just stuff on the internet when I first got online about him, and a lot of it really was always dismissive for some reason, and some of that could have been some of the more sinister elements in some of the movies that just rubbed people the wrong way at a certain point, and they just didn't want to.
Well, they talk about his funeral and like certain people that should have been there weren't, and
yeah, he wasn't appreciated. I feel like that's turning around a little bit, although it's even happening later than I would have expected in the DVD, Blu-ray, 4K wave of physical media, where certainly we see how that blew up Fulci. Not that he wasn't known before, but it made him explode. It's Jess Franco made a lot of movies. At least half of them now are probably on Blu-ray or getting close. And I don't know, there's still something about D'Amato. Maybe people not watching the right films, or
I don't know if it's because he did way more different. Like all the Italians are different, but he did a lot more different. Like Fulci, you feel his style, and no matter what he did, there's a certain like you can tell a Joe D'Amato film, but you can't always it's not like instantly. You'll see his touches throughout, but Fulci, once you start, you feel a Fulci film.
Yeah,
or even Franco. I mean, both of them. I mean,
he's a part of some of their legacies too. Door into Silence. He produced for Fulci. He gave Michele Soavi his first directing gig for Stage Fright. And Soavi, I mean, was making the best of Italian horror, going up to Cemetery Man at a point when TV had totally killed the Italian film industry and genre films at that point. So it's a good story. There was a certain point in this where I was like, okay, this is feeling like it's going to feel more like a special feature. But by the end, I think it hit me enough that
that
I was like,
moment with his daughter, it really seals it.
I would have bought this separate and been fine.
And you can if you just want to see the documentary. It is available as a separate release.
I would love to see you have this, which is partially the career, but also the man. I'd love to see just a doc that really does a full kind of breakdown on his films.
You want an In Search of D'Amato doc?
Hours long. It's never going to go that long, but you could have had a 2-hour doc.
Dan, if this is documentary you want, you better start figuring it out. And there you go. You can cover it film by film.
There you go. We will cover some more Joe D'Amato stuff. Absolutely. Some of the horror stuff, and who knows, maybe some of the Rocco stuff on Patreon. But yeah, it sealed it for me at the end, and I do give this documentary 4 stars.
Really? I figured it'd be higher. I'm a 4.5.
Higher if it was a little bit longer, though.
Okay. See, I think you were left wanting more.
At least 15 to 20 minutes.
See, I thought it told the story it wanted in the time. You just wanted more. I think that's the difference. It's set out to tell one story, but there's tons of other stories when it comes to him. And this, I wouldn't call this the definitive story, but it is a great story, and it is going to give you an introduction if you're not because this is great. Like if you don't know anything, this is really going to catch you up.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean. You are left wanting more. I think it told the story. I mean, I was shocked when it was so short. I'll be honest. I was like 20. Okay. But but I do get it. You want more because you want more information. But I thought it told the story, and I thought it was fine at 110.
Even with
I get wanting more.
Even with 15 or 20 minutes more, it wouldn't have been able to like deep dive into all these films.
I think the way you make it would be longer is if they have to interview more people, because I think that what they have is what they have.
They could have gotten O'Keefe from a tour. You know, there's certainly other people they probably could have tracked down.
Yeah, see, I think that'd be something if you're doing a bigger doc and see.
Yeah, like get Rocco, go interview Rocco to talk a little bit about that, because I mean, again, those were very high concept, high budget movies, but
either way, check it out. It's a great doc, great way to finish off the set, and makes me want to go back and watch his trilogy up at the front of the set again, because I love those films. Those 3 or 4. Is it the 3? I think.
Yeah. We also get 2 CDs as well, Nico Fidenko and some Black Emmanuelle rarities to round all this out.
And some classics too. We have
to close, we do have as a whole, this set is 5 stars.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Honestly, if we would have gave out box set of the year on our year-end awards, this would have got my vote 100%.
It has to be. I mean, you know, there's little nitpicky stuff that you would have for anything, but
yeah, I mean, I liked it to have the alcove on there? Yes. Am I heartbroken it doesn't? No. Better if it doesn't ever come out, it might be.
So yeah, box set of the year for 2023. We'll just give it to it belated. Yeah. So now that we're at the very end, guys, go back. There'll be a playlist for this if there's not already, and relive all the Emmanuelle stuff. Maybe we'll add other Emmanuelle. We'll do the Sylvia Crystal stuff at some point, I'm sure. And
you sounded so thrilled when you said that.
Oh, Sylvia Crystal's gorgeous. It's a different kind of thing, but yeah.
We'll have to time it out for when you're out here so we can watch Emmanuelle 4 in 3D.
There you go. There you go. So keep your eyes out. This won't be the end of Emmanuelle. There's a lot more Emmanuelle.
Well, I
1M, 2Ms.
Yeah, there's a yellow one I want to talk about. Yellow Emmanuelle.
Absolutely.
There's a few others. Yeah. So this we'll have an offshoot, but the set's done. It's put to bed. We got it. We're done.
It is. So guys, thank you for hanging out with us through all of these episodes, and as always, come again hard.
I'm sorry for Dan as always. Till next time. Good evening.